Good morning on this February 20th. It is 7:30. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm your host, Bridgett Ellison, and we're excited this morning to tell you about an awesome adoption event that is happening right now for pets. So if you're in the market to add a furry friend to the household, you'll want to listen up for those details coming up. It's happening in Osceola County, just a heads up on some clues there. But meteorologist Candace Campos is standing by in the Pinpoint Weather Center. And you know, Candace, your fur baby got a trim yesterday. She got a little her hair did, as they say.
It's funny because it never fails. Ever since she was a puppy, I always groomed her the day before temperatures dropped.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
time. So poor little thing is like all shivery. So we have it.
Come on, Mom.
I know. My husband leaving the house had her all bundled up in a blanket just because she was probably already so cold because she had
if we're cold, they're cold, right?
Exactly. But Bella just doesn't, she just hangs out in bed all day. So she has the dream gig right now.
she's a senior. She's earned it.
Yeah, she's elderly. She's at 16, so we love her. Mm-hmm. But you know what? It's going to be a nice day if you don't have to run out the door. Stay in the covers a little longer or sip on that hot coffee this morning, as it is chilly outside. I just did a real quick cut-in during the CBS morning show and said it was technically the coldest morning of the month as we woke up into the 30s and low 40s. So let's talk about those weather headlines, what you can expect for the rest of the week. It's a chilly start today, cool afternoon. That nice weather will continue to stretch into the majority of the week, but we are bringing back the chance for some rain into the forecast come Friday. Nothing compared to what we dealt with over the weekend, just a good old-fashioned typical cold front. Now that cold front that brought us all the rain over the weekend, you can see it's moving out to sea, not a concern for us, but we do have a big ridge of high pressure in control that will keep us dry. So right now, those clear skies allowing for these temperatures to drop throughout the overnight. Right now, we are in 35 in Ocala, 36 in the Villages. We're down to about 47 degrees or so there at Cape Canaveral. But especially along our southern zones where we are dealing with a little bit of a breeze, you can shave off a few degrees off some of those temperatures as that breeze, even though it's light, certainly making it feel a little colder than those actual temperatures. Now, your highs for today will be back into the upper 60s, which is still a few degrees below average. Pleasant day. You can see sunshine. Got the bingo card, right? Or tic-tac-toe. We've got all the sun there across the board. Now, overnight lows for tonight will be another chilly one. Not as cold as this morning, but still heavier jacket kind of morning as we will be waking up still in the 30s and 40s. Maybe a few more areas in Brevard County could warm up into those low 50s. So throughout the next few days, we still got that ridge of high pressure. The one that's out there in the Gulf of Mexico will slowly take control. There's Wednesday, not a cloud, no rain. Same thing through Thursday as the high is pretty much situated right overhead. But then a cold front to our north starts kind of nudging that high out of here. And we will continue to track scattered showers that will be approaching the area come Friday afternoon. Once that front clears, it will be ushering in a really nice stretch of weather for the weekend. And I think we deserve it after the weekend that we dealt with. So again, temperatures will be back into the low 70s come Thursday, a little warmer come Friday, and then temperatures back near to below average for the majority of the weekend with another round of tons of sunshine. So again, Friday, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It will be maybe a couple in and out rain chances, about 30 to 40%. Maybe our far northern zones could be dealing with rain chances at about maybe 40 to 50. But it's going to be one of those quick shots of rain, nothing strong, nothing severe, just kind of another reinforcing shot of some pretty nice weather throughout the next 7 days.
I love it. It's like shades, windows cracked, beautiful.
Yeah, this right here is my favorite kind of weather. It's, low 70s, tons of sunshine, not too hot, not too cold, just right.
Yes, good playground days. All right. Well, thanks, Candace.
Sure. You're welcome.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Mark Lehman is in Marion County, and he has the latest in our getting results in our schools installments. News 6 has uncovered through an investigation some serious issues in the District of Marion County when it comes to some major repairs that are needed at some of the school campuses. And so he explains why the county could let voters decide on a half-cent sales tax to help with this. Our Eric Sandoval has also been covering this with a similar situation in our largest district where they're looking at trying to get help from the state to get our school campuses, back up to, full capacity and condition. So here's Mark with more on what's happening in Marion County.
Have you seen a 1972 open concept classroom in a minute?
Not that comes to mind, no.
Right.
It's a News 6 investigation you first saw last night. Marion County Schools took us around several campuses to show you the outdated and deteriorating buildings students and teachers are dealing with.
Our portables that don't have covered walkways, and we have air conditioned systems that go out, we have leaks. They impact our ability to provide adequate instruction.
These are just some of the reasons why the superintendent is calling for voters to decide on a half-cent sales tax to be in place for 10 years. The tax capital plan calling for the money to upgrade and modernize schools and facilities, acquire land to build new schools, and demolishing, reconstructing, and improving current facilities.
It's been 15 years since there's been a sales tax for our facility needs, and it's been 13 years since we've had impact fees and since they were suspended.
County leaders could be deciding today if the measure will make it on the ballot. It comes as we discovered 80% of Marion County's school maintenance requests do not get fixed because they don't have the $840 million to do it.
And we'll keep you posted on that. Again, our Eric Sandoval will have more on this coming up on News 6 at 6 p.m. tonight. So look for that installment when it comes to what's happening in our largest school district in Central Florida. And so we'll be keeping a watch on that. You know, we talked about pet adoptions. We mentioned it last week and, you know, part of the Valentine's Day promotions. And Osceola County Animal Services has a great Forever Valentine event that is happening throughout this month. And we have Commissioner Brandon Arrington from District 3 with us this morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming in to talk to us about this great event.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always great to try and help empty our shelters.
Why are you so passionate about animals?
You know, my wife and I both have always grown up around animals, and we've always been passionate. And when we first got together almost 20 years ago, we were renters and we weren't even allowed to own an animal. So we would go to the shelters just to see what was available for adoption and try and make connections with those animals as well. And then over the years, we've either rescued from a shelter or off the street probably about 10 to 15 animals. So.
And right now, a lot of our shelters around Central Florida are jam-packed. I mean, do we know why? What's really contributing to this? Is it the squeeze with the economy? Is it a mixture of factors? Like you said, a lot of renters can't, you know, they're moving around because of rising rent and maybe can't have pets. What is it?
You know, we're seeing exactly the last thing you talked about, whereas people are having to move, and due to the market conditions, if you're a landlord and you don't have to have animals, then you're probably not going to allow animals in your rental market. So we're seeing a lot of folks whose leases have ended and are moving on, and unfortunately, they're leaving their animals behind. And so that's why we started the Forever Valentine event, is to try and help empty our shelter and really bring awareness to the amount of animals that get left behind by people every year.
So who are you looking for right now to come in and adopt these pets? You have you said you've had good response this first 2 weeks of February, right?
Yes, ma'am. I would tell you, when we first started this at the beginning of February, all of our kennels were full with dogs. And within the first 2 weeks, we were able to adopt out about 30 dogs and about 20 cats. And that's great because that allows the staff there to have more time with each animal to determine what's the best needs of those animals in order to get them into a forever home as well.
And we have the website pulled up, and they're just so cute. And, you know, you have the senior pets, which are a good match for people. You want to find a good match depending on your lifestyle, your energy level, but really everyone, like we talked about earlier when you first dialed in, from young adults and young families to seniors, everyone can benefit from pet ownership.
You're exactly right. We've seen the impacts of COVID and what that's looked like and what that's done to a lot of mental health issues here, in not only in Florida but throughout the nation. And we also know the value of coming home to a loved one, and whether that's a dog or cat, if you're a single cohabitator, what better way to come home to some excitement as opposed to an empty, quiet house. So it really can lift up your house. I know my wife is a state representative, and she's gone several weeks out of the year, and I know how quiet it would be if I didn't have Brody here to welcome me every day I came through the door. So if you've never thought about owning an animal, or if you haven't owned an animal in a while, I highly encourage you, whether it's coming to Osceola County Shelter, Orange County Shelter, or any other shelter that might be in your community. But we really want to take advantage and get those dogs and cats into forever homes, and for only the cost of $14 for the entire month of February. And as I always love to tell people, they're spayed and neutered, they're microchipped, and we always think we're saving these animals, but at the end of the day, there's a good chance they're going to save you as well.
Yeah, it's a great deal because normally it's 50, $60 to adopt, and then when you add in, these things of spaying and neutering and microchipping, those are, those can get it's a few $100s to make it happen usually without these types of events.
It is expensive, and more so, especially if someone goes out and shops for a dog. And we always tell people to adopt and don't shop. There are millions of animals that are euthanized every single year. And I know a lot of people say, well, I want a specific breed. Well, you can go to your shelters and probably find that breed. And if you can't find it at a shelter, there are a lot of good rescue groups that work with specific breeds as well. And I highly encourage folks to do that. It always breaks my heart when I see somebody with a $2,000 animal that they're paying payments on, as opposed to going to the clinic or our kennels and just picking up one that it could be just as wonderful, if not better. For instance, I even had the opportunity to meet one of our dogs at Osceola Animal Services, and he's what I call a sporty shorty. It's a full-size dog on 6-inch legs.
Oh.
And little Frankie was awesome. He could sit, he could stand, and he could even roll over. And so that is available for adoption at your local shelter. So please, folks, once again, adopt, don't shop, and visit your animal services to help get those animals a forever home as well.
Because like you said, sometimes, like, for instance, if you have allergies, sometimes you want to find a specific breed, not for the designer quality of it, but some breeds are less allergenic. But a lot of those dogs are in the shelters as well.
I will tell you, it's interesting the amount of poodle doodles that you can find online through rescues. And there again, you can find those at your shelter. I just saw a purebred German Shepherd in there the other day, and several other dogs that would be considered purebred as well. But pure breed, mixed breed, either way, dogs or cats are great to have in your home, and it's a great addition. So please get out and help us empty the shelter here in Osceola County, but also in your community as well.
Now where's your pup? I want to meet him. Is he still back there?
He is right over my shoulder. He's actually laying down on the bench.
Oh,
I'm my camera so you can see him.
There he is.
Sleeping hard, and that is Brody. We adopted him about 11 years ago from Orange County Services at the time, and he has been a wonderful addition to our house. He's a big ball of energy, a real wild character. As I love to tell people, his 2 favorite times of the day are when he gets fed.
And he's a pit bull, and I would love to talk about that too, because I've been in households with German Shepherds and pit bulls, and sometimes people give a stereotype to certain breeds, but it's all about how you raise them and how they're trained, because they're just some of the sweetest dogs, just like any other dog.
That's a great thing to bring up. We are big fans of bully breeds, and a lot of that is because the amount of bully breeds that are actually in our shelters available for adoption. And they're wonderful dogs. They're very protective of their home and their family. This guy will sleep with us. He's wonderful. But to your point, dogs are like children. If you give them nurture, if you give them love, and if you exercise them, you're more likely to have a better kid or a better pet. And that's a big deal. If you get a large animal and don't get them neutered and put them on a chain, that is a recipe for disaster. And so there again, that's why it's important. If you're not adopting, please get your animals spayed and neutered so we don't add more animals to the shelter long term as well.
And then, like you said, when you come in, are you thinking about getting an animal? Even if you want a gifted animal, you just have to make sure it's the right match. And so you do have to consider those things of, am I going to be able to give this dog enough room to exercise and play? Will they have enough space and have the right lifestyle that matches with my lifestyle? Those are considerations, because that's why a lot of them end up in the shelters, because maybe A, there's a breed restriction where that owner lives, or B, their lifestyle's not matching up with the pet's needs. So it's a very important addition to the family. You have to think about a lot of elements.
They're all great things to take into consideration, and it leads me to tell people also, a lot of times people want to go to the shelter and adopt a puppy or a kitten. And to your point, Bridgett, that's maybe not what's best for their lifestyle. Perhaps a middle-aged dog or even a senior dog or cat that take less time and less attention can be a great addition to your home. And those are always available. It's amazing the amount of animals that are 18 months. Somebody got a puppy, they thought it was a great idea, and then they realized 8 to 18 months later they need to get rid of it. And so you see a lot of that age range in shelters. And that's why I encourage people, adopt a full-size cat, adopt a full-size dog. There's a good opportunity. You're going to know a little bit more about them and what their dispositions are going to be like. And to your point, puppies are a lot of energy and can be destructive, and whereas a senior dog may not have those same inclinations.
And what about if you want to add in, like add a sibling fur baby to the existing members of the household? Because sometimes there's that transitional phase where maybe the senior animal or the puppy or younger animal needs a playmate, or maybe you want to transition someone else into the household because maybe that older pet is, unfortunately coming to the end of their timeline. How do you sort of gauge that in terms of adding in extra pets?
One of the things you can do between our staff and our volunteers at Osceola Animal Services, and this is the same for a lot of animal services, is you can work with them. You can either bring your dog or cat to see if they will assimilate. One time we adopted a big orange cat from Osceola Animal Service, and one of the ladies that was working there was so helpful. She brought in a dog to see what cats would be responsive and which ones wouldn't. And when she brought in the dog, our cat that we chose rubbed up against the crate. So we knew this cat was good with dogs and some of those things. And it's important that you do some of those items. I just talked to somebody recently who tried to adopt a dog, and it was a specific breed they wanted, but when they got it home, the dog did not work well with the dog they had. Unfortunately, they brought it back, but then they adopted another dog that actually worked well with them. So then they could have that forever home, and you're not discarding the dog that you got that didn't work. You brought it back, and hopefully it'll find a better house for itself as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so there are opportunities to volunteer and foster as well, because maybe like we talked about, maybe you can't have a pet where you are, where you're moving, but you could still, like you said, come in and be involved and help out with the load there of animals constantly coming in.
Yes, ma'am. You can volunteer, and also they're always looking for folks to take in, whether it's a new cat litter to foster as well, or new puppies. They do a lot of that, specifically if they're not of age. And then when the shelter gets too full, we're always looking for more people to foster as well. And they did a great program over the holidays, which was Home for the Holidays, where you could actually take one of the animals home and foster it over the holidays. Once again, bring a little bit more joy to your house, but also to get those dogs out of the kennel, because it can be kind of actually mentally devastating on an animal to be in a kennel for an extended amount of time. So that's why I also encourage people to look for those long-termers that have been in kennels for a long time, to get them out. Brody, when we adopted him, he was actually on death row. He was going to be euthanized the next day, but once again, through the help of a volunteer that was there working, he helped us identify this dog, connect us with this dog, and get him into a safe harbor and into our house. And he's been a great addition ever since.
Oh, I can just tell. Well, we really appreciate this information, and I know we talked about, the benefits of the security and the mental health aspects as well with having pets, depending on what's happening in your life.
It really is a great addition. And once again, if you are someone is coming home to an empty house and could use a little bit more joy and companionship, we highly encourage you to come check out Osceola Animal Services, or once again, any animal services facility that you might be connected to. Please check them out and go to volunteer, look to foster, and see how you can help, because this is a major problem. We euthanize probably around I don't know the exact number. It's almost 1 million or over 1 million animals a year are put down because we as humans have chose to allow them to breed and not take care of them. And so we need to do a better job so we don't have not only that burden on the animals, but that burden on government to carry that cost as well.
Yeah. Well, this is great. And so we're excited to share the Forever Valentine program with Osceola County Pets. And so you can go to OsceolaCountyPets.com and get all the information. And Commissioner Arrington, we really appreciate, your dedication to this as well, and coming on this morning to talk about it. So hope you and Brody have a great day, a great rest of the week, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a great day, and I hope to see y'all at Osceola County Animal Services.
All right. Hope to see you. Thank you. So check that out, OsceolaCountyPets.com. And that event, again, $14 to adopt. If you are ready to adopt, come check them out. Adopt, don't shop. And remember that you can also foster and volunteer if you're not ready to adopt right now. There is a story from Treasurer Roberts we want to take you to. They're in DeLand. The city of DeLand has approved some new rules aimed at working with the homeless population. So they have passed 3 measures in the city yesterday to try to make a difference. This covers everything from homeless on public property to storing items in things like bags and carts. So here's Treasurer with more.
The conditions under which they live on the street is deplorable and filled with violence, fueled by substance use disorders and untreated mental illness.
The DeLand City Commission plans to address the growing population of people experiencing homelessness with Monday's newly approved measures. The series of measures will prohibit camping on public property, storing personal items in shopping carts or bags, and won't allow sleeping on or lying on sidewalks or benches. This new code would also get law enforcement officers more involved.
This is not, if you're homeless in DeLand, we're going to arrest you and take you to jail. That's not what's going on.
The city says if police encounter a homeless person, they will first ask if they have a place to stay. If not, officers would offer to connect the person with a local shelter that the city is partnering with, like Neighborhood Center and First Step Shelter.
Cannot criminalize homelessness. We have to have a place for them to go.
But if they refuse to go, that's when they could be charged with a criminal violation of a municipal ordinance.
There's a place for me to go and you'll take me there. It doesn't cost me anything, but I just don't want to go. Then we can arrest those folks.
One resident says this issue would be better tackled by mental health counselors.
The police department have become really the front line of the mental health system, and they should not be.
But proponents think the city's approach will be effective.
You give them a choice. I support the ordinance.
The CEO of the Neighborhood Center of West Volusia, Savannah Jane Griffin, believes these measures should guide those experiencing homelessness to the available services and resources.
Estimate from my personal observation about 400 people that are homeless in our city.
She introduced someone who has benefited from the Neighborhood Center services.
30 days later, I am now a success story and happy to say I am off the streets.
In DeLand, Treasurer Roberts, getting results, News 6.
So that was Treasurer. Hopefully looking forward to some positive updates coming out of those changes. Now we want to go to Ezzy Castro with details on the voter registration deadline for Results 2024. Today's the last day to register if you want to vote in next month's Florida primary. So here she is with all the details.
If you want to vote in the presidential preference primary here in Florida, you have to be registered by today. Voting day is March 19th. And here's what you need to know. The Republican presidential preference primary is for GOP voters only, so not everyone is eligible to vote. Now, if you wish to change your political party affiliation so you can vote in this primary, today would be the last day to do that as well.
Any question that you might have as a voter, we will be there to help you. It will be great.
Meantime, South Carolina is the next state in the race to lock up the GOP nomination. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley spent President's Day campaigning, but is still trailing former President Trump, who remains popular with his party despite legal issues.
The case is a complete and total sham. It's a sham case.
We're going to keep on doing what we're doing. We've got people excited in South Carolina.
All righty, so make sure you get that done if you have not. And we have some health headlines we want to tell you about. Some good news from the CDC as far as the flu season goes. They're saying that the peak is behind us. Bad news is cases are still really high right now, but they've been tracking flu hospitalizations. That's how they measure this. And so they're saying that the rates are down compared to this time in December. So that's a good sign. And so, again, vaccination is the best way to protect you and your family. And of course, keeping those hands clean. There's a new warning when it comes to protein-packed diets. Now, my head's always spinning with all these stories of different studies, and I believe in studies, but last week we talked about the protein diet or protein breakfast was better than the carb breakfast, but then This new study found eating too much protein could be bad for you. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania found people who get more than 22% of their calories from protein had excess plaque in their arteries. So that would lead to making sure this protein is lean. But if your protein's not lean and then you're getting excess plaque in your arteries, that leads to atherosclerosis, which is the underlying cause of 50% of deaths, according to the National Institutes of Health. So, make sure you keep the protein lean, I guess, and watch out for those saturated fats. But protein's not bad. It's all in moderation. We just have to make sure we're watching out for some of the bad elements. So, until next time with another study story, that's it for today. We will be back tomorrow at 7:30 with more Breakfast with Bridgett. I'll see you at noon on News 6 with more news and weather updates. And now, here comes Weather-Wise with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. Have a great day.